first Monday of the month, and it's Engine Room Chat with myself, Dave, from Narrowboat Changing Pace, Glenn from A Life Full of Meaning and formerly of Narrowboat Nutshell, Jeff, Chili Jam Jeff, from what's your boat called, Jeff?
Light and Buzzard and Narrowboat Credit Limit.
Credit limit. And Saul from Barely Floating, who's on Narrowboat Louise.
Laura.
No, not Louise.
Laura.
I knew it began with L. I was close. So, what we're going to do tonight, we're going to go around like we usually do, see what we've been doing on his boats and rest of his lives. And if any comments come in, we'll answer them and as they come in. And if anybody's got out they want to ask, then feel free. We'll try and do it as best to answer any questions that comes in. So, who wants to go first this week?
I don't mind. I can go
We'll
first.
go with Saul. We'll mix it up a bit. We'll go with Saul.
Go with Saul. Okay. Go for it.
I've been mad busy with just bits of jobs around the boat, moving, emptying drawers and cupboards and what have you, moving stuff around. I've made a roof box for my roof, obviously, for all bits and bobs to go in there. Put all that together. We've had some visitors down. Glenn come down with Lisa, and we had a trip out on the boat. And when I got back, my hot water wasn't hot. We'd been sailing for about an hour, 2 hours it was, an hour out, an hour back. My water wasn't hot, and when it cooled down and everything, I checked my water, and the fluids had dropped. The coolant had dropped really low, which meant I wasn't getting enough water through to me hot water tank to warm it up. So I've topped it up, and it seems to be working, but it's done the same again. I think I need to put some more coolant in there. I think I got a bit too much water. But I also managed to drop a load of oil all over the engine.
Do you think it's because do we think the head gasket's not done? You've done that, haven't you?
Done the head gasket. Just every now and I didn't check it for the last 2 times I've used it. I checked it today and it was fine, but I didn't check it the previous 2 times. I checked the oil every time obviously because I lose oil, a lot of oil. I didn't check the coolant. So how often do you lot do your checks? Is it every time you move or once a week or?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
I used to check the oil every time we used to move out. The water level, I used to check probably, well, if we were stationary, I didn't bother because we didn't used to run the engine very often. But if we were out, I'd check the water probably once or twice a trip.
Yeah,
because it had a header bottle, so you could see our header bottle. If it was low or high, so it was just like a car header bottle. It was probably off of a BMW or something like that. It did look really common sort of header tank. You could see the water in it really easily. But the oil I used to check every time I started it, pretty much every morning.
Yeah.
Our header bottle, our expansion tanks on cruiser stern above deck, so you can see it.
Right.
So it very rarely drops below minimum, and I think if anything, if we do a really long cruise and we're cruising for 4 or 5 hours, when it's cooled down, it might have dropped down a little bit. But it's very rare we have to top ours up.
Yeah, rentals tend to be outside, don't they? Rentals tend to be on the back deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so they can keep an eye on it.
It's a thing with Barrowshire engines. They've got to be the header or the expansion tank's got to be 12-inch above the engine, above level of engine. So the only place he could put it were actually on cruiser deck. He drilled 2 holes through cruiser deck and put 2 pipes up and bolted it to the side of the boat. So, but it's it's out of way and it's quite handy, really.
Yeah, mine's Editech's right next to rocker box, which is something else I've got to sort out. My rocker box has got crushed a bit, so it's just spitting a bit of oil out every now and again.
Your rocker top.
Yeah, it's been over tightened and it looks like it's just crumpled in on the back end.
Yeah.
So take that off, bash it back out again, and stick it back on.
Stick it back on. Yeah. I think we're getting some spam emails. That's all I've just noticed on the side there.
Yeah.
Some spam.
Yeah. Some friends of ours, Paul Colshaw, he's
delete them comments.
Okay.
Block them.
How do I do that? Hold on. Block user on YouTube. Yeah. Paul. Oh dear. I'm just blocking.
So I've got to check. I've got to check all my stuff, all my engine a bit more regular now. I think that's what I'm going to do. Just every time I start, I'm going to check my water. I checked it tonight and it was fine. It's not, I stick my finger in it, have it just tip of my finger dips in a bit. I keep it at that level. It seems fine, but I mean, I can bleed it, but it's one of them things. I've never flushed out that engine, and I'm not sure how I do it on that BMC. Is it just a case of opening the tap and running the engine till it empties out, or should I use sort of suction thing?
I don't know. I've never bled. I never bled our BMC engine, to tell you the truth. I think it's just a case if you've got a skin tank, there should be a little valve on top of the skin tank. I think it's just a case of cracking that, seeing if any bubbles come out. But other than that, I don't think there's any way of bleeding it, really.
We had two on ours,
There's no
skin
bleed.
tanks, one either side. Now, you're right, it had two nuts on the top. And when the head gasket was going on ours, the amount of air that was in those skin tanks it used to take ages and ages and ages to bleed the air out of them. But they're like two square bolts on the top of the tanks, just like you'd have on a radiator, in a house. Yeah. But bigger.
Mine's got a big old tap with a big copper pipe that comes out. And
Has it?
Yeah. Well, I thought what I could do is, because I've got one of those little hand pump things, so I could suck water through and make it, if I opened up the tap just while engine wasn't running, I could maybe suck the water through.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lower inlet on ours as well. I used to have one at the bottom as well to join the two tanks up. Is there not one at the bottom?
We've got a pipe that goes in at the bottom, and then another pipe that comes out of the top, and then we've got the bleeding pipe. I would assume it's a bleeding pipe.
I never did bleed as it was one of the things I actually always wanted to do, because the water in ours always smelt a bit. When the head gasket went, the water always smelt a bit rough, but because it was two tanks, I just didn't know where to or how to. I literally think I'd have had to physically either pumped it out or taken the hose off the bottom of the
skin tank and let it.
Yeah, which is a lot of water. Yeah, which is a lot of water.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have been in my engine bay. It would have been in, because obviously our engine was inside. But it would have been behind a barrier, but it would have been a mess. So never fancied it.
Yeah, I think I might use that hand pump and just try and suck water through till I get a solid flow through. Keep topping up the tank until then.
It's got to be worth having if you're doing all that work to it as well. It's got to be worth having a flush through of it.
Yeah.
But your pump will obviously pump some of it round.
Yeah. It does spit out a bit. But it's sort of like a dribble, and I'm thinking maybe I've got an airlock in there somewhere. So,
crack that bolt. Well, if you've got one, crack it on top of the thing. Try and get any air out of it.
Yeah. And I need some new glow plugs, I think, as well, because I'm struggling starting still. So,
Oh
gotta
yeah.
get new glow plugs on it.
Are you gonna change? Saul's going to change his engine though, this year, aren't you?
There's a chance to that, yeah, if I can afford it. Got to save me pennies up first.
Have you?
Got to find the engine as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a couple of comments coming in. One from Maggie. I am totally new to narrowboats. Is there any courses to help towards running and maintenance? The only one that I know is a chap called Tony Brooks. He's down at Midlands. He's got quite a good reputation. He runs maintenance courses and stuff like that for diesel engines. So it might be worth looking him up online. He might be able to help you. I don't know if anybody else knows anybody.
Preston Docks do a course. That's a general maintenance course if you're up north. Preston Docks do it. Well, they used to do. I haven't checked out actually. I was going to go on it, but COVID stopped all that. So
Yeah. I mean, and most of the stuff I want to learn, I generally just go on YouTube or Google it. Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10 somebody's done it, so you can watch the mistake and watch the fix all in one go. So
a lot of people I know use YouTube like you, Glenn, but I know some people. There's a kid who I work with who lives on an narrowboat, and he's big into doing courses. He did before he bought his boat. He went on an helmsman course, and he went on an engine maintenance course, and that's just how he learns. You know what I mean? So it's each to their own. But like I said, Tony Brooks is one. He's also on the Canal Will forum. He posts on there. There's an engine maintenance topic subsection on that forum. So try Canal Will forum as well.
I mean, engine oil changes and that are probably one of the easiest to learn. I've been down to a friend's boat on Saturday, and it's the second time he's done it, and now he's completely happy to do it himself. So it only takes a couple of times for you to do it, especially if you've got the old drain pump on top and just the oil filters. I think the hardest.
Excuse me.
The hardest thing with his was it was a new engine, and they paint everything, literally everything when they get marinized, and they see paint that cracking the seal on the oil sump on the oil filter was mammoth job. I couldn't, I didn't have a proper tool, so I ended up using the first time we did it, I ended up using a ratchet strap with loads of stuff wrapped around it just to get it to bloody come off. Couldn't get his fuel filter off Saturday either. Tried to do that, couldn't get it off.
I just seen Sue Hawkins. She's her last engineer service. He did the quick bleed on our skin tank. Does she mean that he used a pump and pumped it through? I wonder if she can answer that one. Whether he sucked the actual water through or just opened the tap and let it run out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be great to know if you can answer that.
I don't know. It's I don't know what a quick bleed is. I'd have thought it was cracking, because if you take the bleed screw out, the pressure would just pull the water out.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do it when it's hot.
No, you wouldn't. No, but maybe Sue can answer that, mate. Lee's come on. Hi, Lee. And Natasha from I can't pronounce the name of their boat. It's very, very, very difficult to pronounce. But she's put there as a guy doing a session on boat maintenance at Crick. It might have been Tony Brooks. He is very big in narrowboat circles. He might have done it, but I helped Paul and Natasha. We used to moor on the same marina, and I helped Paul change the filters on their engine because they've got a Barrowshire engine like ours. Paul, he weren't overly confident. He knew what he was doing, but I just sat with him and helped him through. But when we came to do the oil filter, we couldn't get it off. We used a ratchet strap and all sorts, and I ended up hammering a screwdriver through it and getting it off the old-fashioned way.
That always scares me. That does. That always scares me. If you don't, yeah. Always scares me doing that. I used to do it on cars, and I used to think, "Oh bloody hell! What if I can't get the thing off, or I go through the spline, or I go through the?"
Yeah, I think if you do it, if it's one of them screw-on filters, as long as you do it down the bottom, I think you're safe enough.
It's just the metal's really thin, isn't it? The metal's thin. When you put a screwdriver through, sometimes it just starts ripping it open.
You've got to get it through both walls, so you've got something to force it on.
Hang on to.
Yeah.
Then you're putting it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't put it back on with a screwdriver. No, that's not.
Yeah.
But they only really should be anti anyway, shouldn't they? So I think Saul's come back.
Yeah. So he just put it like a radio. Yeah. So he's just opened the tap and
done the top thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did on ours. They weren't hot, and you can hear the air. It just sounds like a radiator. And then once the water starts coming through, you just shut it off.
I think that's mainly where if you're going to get an air blockage or anything, I think it's your skin tank that it's gonna be. So
when our head gasket went, when it was building up pressure in it, what it used to do is if I stalled the engine for any reason and went for a quick restart, it would instantly overheat, and the only way I could stop it was by releasing that one of those nuts off, letting all the air out until it was coming out of water, and then shutting it off. Then the temperature would go down straight away. Right. It was almost instantaneously. I've never seen anything like it from an engine before. Anyway, I know it was building up pressure in the system, but I didn't know why its stalling was causing an instant airlock.
I don't know.
Because you could run it all day all day. It was only if you tried to restart it straight away, it would have this issue. It would just go bang straight over the boiling hot, and there'd be no sort of water in the engine until you bled it, and then it would take the water through. Weird. It was a weird thing. It was weird. And
I know when we had the 2.5 BMC engine before we changed it for this Barrowshire, ours had got a big coolant tank, like a cast aluminium tank with a radiator filler cap on top. And when it finally gave up the ghost, there was that much pressure in the engine that it actually blew the housing for the radiator cap off, tore 3 screws. It was like a brass housing with three screws holding it into a coolant thing, and it actually blew the housing straight off.
Did it?
With that pressure in it. That was when we decided maybe it's time for a new engine.
Yeah. I've just seen that Starcrafts on the canal said sounds like your header tank not high enough, Glenn. To be honest with you, it was as high as it was. It was definitely not. I don't think it was the header tank. Because once I did the head gasket, it never did it again ever. So I never had to have that problem again. I think it was just the head gasket was so badly gone that it was just causing an issue. But anyway, thanks for that, because that's good to know, because you said it's got to be higher, isn't it? So
yeah, it states in installation manual on Barra Shires. I don't know about any other engines that it's got to be at least 12-inch above level of engine. So
yeah, anyway.
there may be something in that. Maybe I don't know. But so, seeing as we've sorted Saul's coolant checks out, we'll move on to Jeff. See if Jeff's got anything that he needs sorting out this month.
Well, not really. I just told you before, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I'm not going to say it because I'll jinx it. But if it ain't broken, don't touch it. And touch wood, it's fine.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of little. I want to reseal around the bottom of the shower. I've got some trim. I want to put some plastic trim a little bit higher because our shower, the walls come down and sit on top of the shower tray it goes behind the shower tray rather than sitting on top of it. So if I put plastic trim around it, the water will go down the plastic trim and then into the shower. So I've got
that's what I do with ours. Yeah,
I've got that to do. I want a bit of foam, as I said. I need a bit of foam for the bed. Apart from that, I've got someone give me an arc welder as well this week, so I've got some rods. I might have a go welding that hinge back on.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, on your deck plate.
Yeah, on the where you lift it up for the weed hatch. But apart from that, I've just been busy at the house. We're on the boat next weekend, so I might do a little bit. I want to do a few little jobs on it. But yeah, apart from that, just busy on the house.
Have you done? When was the last time you done a service on the boat, Jeff?
Last year, before we went out on it. So yeah, it ain't done a lot. I changed the oil and filter. Didn't do the fuel filter.
No.
Don't do that. I'll keep it filled up. Keep it filled to the top, to the brim. Because dual fuel come along. It doesn't want anything. It does. Just fill it up. It might only take 5 gallon. I want it filled to the neck. That way you don't get diesel bubble. There's no condensation. Keep it filled. And touch wood. As I said, if it's not broken, don't touch it. And I don't touch it.
Yeah. Have you any plans to go out?
We're going out the weekend, and I think she was on about going out for a week or so. I don't think we're going to go to Cyprus. I can't see that happening. So we might even be out, go out for 3 weeks. You never, fingers crossed.
You might actually get some miles in. You did all right in your week though, didn't you?
To Welford, didn't we? We went up to that. I think this time we go Bralston way rather than going up to Leicester.
Yeah. Do the Oxford, mate. Do the Oxford.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing. I want to do it all. I told you that. If it was down to me, mate, the house would be rented out and we'd be gone. But it's, you know who it is.
Yeah. Not saying anything.
No, don't say nothing. You'll be in trouble. But yeah, apart from that, I want to take the crack cover, the frame down and redo that because it's getting a bit weathered now. I need to take that down, bring it home and through varnish it. But yeah, apart from that, it's good as gold. No problem. Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
I don't know why you not have all these problems. I really don't.
No.
Well, no.
I think I'm having enough problems for everybody at the moment.
How I said that, I'm going to get a load of problems.
Yeah.
So, Glenn, how's your search for a new boat going?
Oh, do you know what? Well, as Saul knows, and I'm going to tell you on the channel about said survey that I got.
Oh, did you?
I did. I meant to send it to you, mate, but I forgot. So me and Saul, I won't going to obviously mention any names of the boat, and I won't mention where it was or anything. But we went and saw a boat while I was up seeing Saul. Had a look at it. When we arrived, it was having plates welded on the side of it, which put me off straight away. But I thought, we're here now. Let's have a look. And we had to. It was obviously out of the water. But I don't know if you noticed. So when we saw it, it was only brick height or one plank height off the floor.
Yeah.
So that comes into play in a little bit. So we had a look inside it, and yeah, it was all right. You know, it was nothing. It stunk of diesel. But we went and looked through the front, and I lifted up the front step and it was very damp under there, wasn't it? It was very wet
Just
under that. Yeah, and I was actually pulling lumps of rust off the bottom plate.
Right.
Like clumps of rust was just coming off the bottom plate. So I was like, I couldn't, what were the fact that this guy's welding? He was spot welding the pits, and he was putting plates over the top of them. So he was doing a lot of work. He was putting 4 mil steel on the side of it, and I think I've got a feeling it might have been an 864. I'm not sure. It was a Liverpool boat manufacturer, and I'm not sure what their spec is, but anyway, I presume. Well, looking at the survey that I've seen, this is the big argument about a survey. So the guy said, "Oh, we're going to get all this work done, get it all blacked up." And the other thing that I wasn't happy about is when we looked at it, the roof was like a bubble, wasn't it, all the way down?
Yeah, I can't understand that
like,
roof.
you could see the cross members that go across, but between each, it was like a wave of metal that went all the way to the front.
Yeah,
they weren't
flat in places, wasn't it?
And then it was really flat, and it was actually pooling water in places. So I was like, it was quite strong money for what it was. Well, it's not in today's market, but for what I've been seeing with it. So the guy said, "Oh, send me the survey when you get it." Because more the fact I was interested to look at what was said about it. So this survey, I don't know how much you paid for it. Not a clue. It was 2 pages.
I can tell you how much.
Do you know?
Yeah, it's about 300 quid on here.
Yeah, see, I paid about a little bit more than that for ours, but our survey was about 10 pages. Our survey, and that was a whole survey, and he valued the boat in that survey as well. And I didn't ask.
It's about 300 quid on here. That's it.
Really?
Anyway,
we had a survey on a boat we were looking at 12 years ago, and we paid 300 quid for that service. That survey 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It was about, I think ours was about 380, 390, something like that for Nutshell. I'm remembering she was 70 foot as well.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so whatever he paid, these 2 sheets of paper. The first bit of paper basically said, I would get it up, but I can't remember where I put it. But it said something like the sides had heavy pitting and it had been repaired to a satisfactory standard, and gave readings of 6 or 7 mil in down the sides. Fair enough. It then went on to say, I did not board the boat. Right. So the boat wasn't did. So I saw no act on the inside of the boat, and the access to the bottom of the boat was very restrictive. The only readings I could get were 8 mil. And so the only thing he could have done was literally put his hand under the side as far as he could get it without cleaning it, remembering, and got 8 mil. So to me personally, that survey's not worth a paper it's written on. Wasted his money. I can't see that an insurance company is going to take that and say, well, the bottom plate's not covered because it's not been done. You've got so far in. So yeah, I was like, I just went back to the chap and said, thanks for sending it to me. But to be honest with you, due to the lack of information on the bottom plate, I'm not interested. So he went, oh, that's fine. I said, I'm sure you'll sell it. It was up for 23 grand.
Yeah, still is. Yeah. Last time I saw it a couple of days ago, it came up on me.
Yeah, it's still up for grabs. Yeah, it's still up for grabs. But, so he can give the survey to whoever he likes, really. But to me, it wasn't worth. The sides were, then when I asked the chap, would you ever on the phone? I said to the chap, what's he doing between the plate and the, what treatments he putting on between the plate he's welding on and the bottom of the boat and the side of the boat? He went, I don't know. I don't know was his answer. I'm not sure. I said, I don't think he was doing anything. So, you know, you've got a 4 mil plate going onto a 6 mil, potentially with very deep pits, because I saw there was a lot of weld pits marks, you know, where he'd gone spot welded down the side of the other side of the boat. It looks fantastic in the pictures now because it's all lovely and blacked.
Right.
So,
a mate of mine said he'd have just welded out the pits. That's all he'd have done. He'd have just cut them back, welded out those pits. He said, "Don't matter how bad they are, it's better than overplating."
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, when you're overplate, you don't know whether there's any moisture trapped between the original and the new plate. And if there is any moisture coming out at pits or whatever's in there, just rots the new plate from inside.
Yeah, so, it was, and it was pissing down with rain anyway, so it was not a wet. It wasn't a great environment for it to be welding anyway. But I wasn't going to argue with him because he was a massive Polish guy with tattoos all over his face and down his neck, and he was huge. He was absolutely built like a tank. So I was like, "Yep, all right, that's thanks a lot, cheers." But he was ever so polite and ever so nice. He was just doing what he's been told to do. So, well, I've never heard of that. Sikaflex.
Silkaflex.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
I wouldn't do that because when you're welding, obviously your heat transfers. I don't know what that would do to Silkaflex. The only way I would accept a boat that's been or being in trade really is if you're gonna have it overplated, you want the whole shot blasting so that there's nothing on the original metal, so you get rid of all imperfections, and that needs to be dry. The back of the plate that you're welding onto it wants to be shot blasted. It needs to be stuck on and fully welded all the way around, so you know that you've got nothing in between them plates. That's the only way I'd trust overplating.
Yeah.
And I know yours has been done, hasn't it, Saul?
Yeah, mine's pretty heavy duty overplating as well. Mine was done by Wilton Marina, so.
Well, they obviously know what they're doing, but you know, you just get in a bloke to stick plates on the side of the boat.
It was sticking plating he put on.
He wasn't even putting long plates on, was he? He was putting shorter plates because obviously he was on his own, so he could only hold certain lengths up to tack them on to start it. So he was doing, I don't know, they were probably 3 foot long, and he'd done like 3 of them. So he was
not a great
weld
idea
between each one. Yeah, no. So anyway, it won't happen. That was about, you know, it was a shame, but it was worth. We've been to. We never got a chance to have a look at the other boat, which I really, really wanted to see, which was next hire boat, but that just didn't. The chap just didn't come back to us. I got fed up with trying to get it sorted out. There's still an opportunity for one. The first one we went and saw, I've made another offer on it. I know what they want for it, and I know, and I'm not. I'm sort of like, I've still went a few grand below what they actually want, and I said, look, that's all I'd pay, and that would be buying it blind. That would be a quick sale, buying it blind, and it's a 92 boat as well, so it's right in that era of nasty metal. But because it's only 30 foot, I thought, well, if I had to have it replated on the bottom, or the sides look all right, but if I had to have it replated on the bottom, there's enough dough in it to get it done. Not that I really want to do that.
Yeah, Alan Glass has asked, could you still get condensation between the plates? I don't think so, because when your boat's in water, you've got. I don't think you've got that difference of heat, have you, between inside and outside? I don't think you get condensation between plates on when you're overplating it.
Shouldn't be,
Depend
should
on
there?
gap.
Because there'd be, even if it was warm inside, it should be then insulated, which would then be out by the time you got to the metal. It should be freezing.
Yeah,
in the winter.
If it's sat in water, then that heat transfer between two plates, it wouldn't be. And if you're doing it right as well, you probably, I don't know how boatyards do it, but what I would suggest is that every so often you drill holes in the plate that you're putting on, and you puddle weld that, so you've got you're not just relying on the weld on the outside of the plate. You've got
Right.
a series of holes that you pull in the plate to the inside to the original, so you're not creating a gap, because
Avoid.
suppose if you just weld round outside, you've got a chance of the new plate bowing with the heat and creating a void. So if you drill holes, a series of holes, then you can hammer the plate against the original and what they call puddle weld the hole back up, so it's holding the plate in more than just the edges.
Yeah.
So I don't think you get condensation between plates. Personally, I might be wrong.
You're the man who knows about steel, Dave. If anyone knows about steel, it's you, mate. So I bow to your superior knowledge.
And another one here that's question to Jeff: will you and Sally be around in April so I can visit the tree? We are cruising down to London.
The pretty tree. And there, Dave, I did see your first comment, but I wasn't going to rise to it. I'm just jealous. Yeah, a bit about, mate. The first comment
I didn't see his first message. I'm gonna have a look.
Because he's retiring.
Because he's living on board full time now, isn't he?
He's going to be, yeah. He's
Oh, no.
work. 21 days left, he said.
Oh, yeah, he did, yeah. So that is full time.
Yeah.
And then he wants to come and see the tree, because apparently me and him sat there for 4 hours talking about the tree outside the boat. There was Jack Daniels involved. Jack Daniels fire involved.
Well, a lot to answer for that, Jack Daniels.
Around how many steps around the circumference of the tree?
Yeah, and you put a big light under it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we was there till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Sally keeps on about it. Even
Best night.
it was a good night. It was a good night. I ain't seen you for years. So. Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Mate, we'll come and meet you.
Yeah.
And that's
right.
So you're
anyway. So that,
welding day. I thought there was some special primer you could put on, welding primer or something. You can paint, and then it doesn't. When you weld, it doesn't actually burn through the paint. I've seen it on TV. They always coat it with this primer. When they do cut,
no.
Salvage UK, they do it when they do welding.
oh, do they?
Yeah, you see them weld a panel on, they paint the inside with this special paint or primer, and then they weld it on. It stops it rusting.
Is it not that? What's it called?
Don't know what it's called.
Can't think of the name of it. I think I've got some of it
Zinc.
at work.
Oh, you mean zinc rich? That's good stuff. That is.
Yeah.
But I don't think
I don't think it's that. I think it's called something else.
Have you ever used that?
It's
what zinc?
It's called zinc rich. It's
Yeah.
like big, thick paint. Well, I've done it on my Land Rover years ago. I cut a square out the bulkhead where it was rotten, welded it, painted it with that stuff. I've never ever come back. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
stuff.
we used to use that stuff after we've welded.
Yeah.
But from my experience, you never get get paint anywhere near welds
they
because
use this stuff. I don't know. I'll have to watch it again. But every time they put a car,
it tends to make your welds porous.
yeah. Well, this stuff, they've got a new panel. So they put a new quarter panel on. They paint it inside with this stuff, and it stops the rust. And then they can weld, put the wing on and weld round it. Spot weld it, puddle weld it, whatever they need to do, and it protects it.
Yeah. That's on a car. That's a car channel. They're they're very, very thorough, in what the work they do. And the bloke's like 30 years experience in body work and mechanic work, but not saying, because I know that they put new quarter panels, new quarters in cars and stuff like that. So
Always use they paint it inside before they weld the panel on.
I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll have a look at some. He's just doing a load of body work.
Welding or anything, it just protects it.
You might get away with it on thinner stuff on cars. I think you might get away with it because we used to use a sheet called Zintec, and that had got a zinc plating on the metal. But we you used to have to dress the edges off where you were welding it, and then paint over it after. Because even that, I mean, it's like you can get galvanized sheet as well.
Yeah,
but you got to
grind it off before you weld that.
Yeah, it's a pain in the arse to weld with galvanized sheet. So you end up grinding a 10-15 mil board around, so you get down to bare metal, then you weld it, and then you paint over the top of it. See, I've never understood why they don't or use galvanized sheets for making boats, because you could buy a galvanized sheet, dress edge, do your welds, and then zinc plate on top of it, and then do your blacking on top of that, and it never rust. But
everyone we've seen said I should have bought the Sea Otter.
Yeah, I agree.
That's gone now. Someone's bought that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went on the site the other day because I was on in an iron base.
I just didn't like seasick, weren't you?
It's what?
You was a bit worried about being seasick because it wobbled a lot.
Yeah, very right. It's very light, but obviously made of aluminium. But very, very, very rocky. But I mean, I probably would have got used to it, to be fair. But inside, I didn't like the inside at all. The inside, I thought it looked like a GRP a little bit inside. It was very. I don't think it being painted bright yellow helped. To be fair,
maybe not.
The whole thing was bright yellow inside, blue outside, bright yellow, everything, painted everything. So it put me right off, and it was 32 grand. It was.
Yeah, they are expensive. So Alan Glass has put a question on: having a long weekend on a boat trip next month, why is it suggested not to have a lit fire when you go through a tunnel?
Get the fumes in your face.
Fumes, headroom, fumes. Yeah, a lot of longer tunnels have only recently let you go through with diesel engines, aren't you? Not Stanage Tunnel. You used to have to be towed through that. They won't even let you have your engine on that.
There's no funnels out of it to.
No, very little ventilation. Even though there's a railway tunnel that runs alongside of it, but now they recently relaxed that, so you can go through with a diesel engine, but they won't let cruisers through with a petrol outboard.
Were they not?
No, you can't. You can't go through Stanage Tunnel with an outboard petrol engine. They just don't allow it.
I saw Lisa was saying something about that yesterday about that's right, the mooring we went to look at. I think they don't allow they don't allow. No, they can't have. They've got loads there. There was something she looked at that said that you couldn't have a petrol engine, because I know there are a few boats knocking about that do have them, aren't there? There's a few narrow boats that have got petrol engines in them.
Usually little ones.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually inboards though as well. I think that's,
Yeah, I believe they used to use Hillman Imp engines.
Did they?
Yeah,
They were
apparently
shit when they were shit when they were in the car. Who'd put one of them in their boat?
apparently at really low revs they would bob on.
It was just the rest of the car around it. That was the problem.
Yeah, Jesus. My mum had one of them. It was always breaking down the bloody thing.
Didn't he try to make a boat out of one of them Hillman Imps? Him on Top Gear, James May.
No,
Was
the
it an Hillman Imp?
Herald, wasn't it?
No, he made one out of a Triumph, didn't
Triumph Herald.
he? Triumph Herald.
I know
Yeah,
somebody
Triumph
who
Herald.
races human imps.
Yeah.
He made one out of a Triumph Herald, didn't he?
Yeah, he made one out of
Yeah.
Triumph Herald.
Yeah.
And then another one tried to make one out with a VW camper and it sunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a VW camper styled narrowboat out up for sale. Actually, it's been up for sale for quite a while. The front of it is just like it's been designed just like a VW camper van.
Why would you want to do that?
I know, and the lights are the lights. So your lights are your lights, and your navigation lights are your indicators.
Bad enough.
I know.
Never mind doing it with a boat.
No, I
What's
can't
45
see-
grand for that?
Yeah, not
45 grand.
Yeah.
Don't put
Fella
all
answered,
grand
said,
you
can they leg it through Stanage Tunnel? At 3.5 mile, I won't want to leg it through there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not a straight tunnel and all, and it's weird and wonderful, Stanage Tunnel. Don't know if any of you guys have been through it.
No,
It's not at all standard. It's half for its rock, half for its brick, and then parts of it like a really bad 70s sci-fi molded concrete things where they've patched it and that. It's weird. I hated it. It were one of the things that I wanted to do. Were on my bucket list of things to do, and it was an absolute nightmare. I ricocheted offsides, even with a pilot, and you have to have an RDAT on, and they put extra lights on your boat, and his advice to me were go faster. So we just careened offsides faster, and it were horrible. It
I
was
see
horrible.
Louise has put take boat paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. It were a really bad experience for Louise, who were inside boat with dogs. The dogs hated it. It scared them to death, and I really didn't enjoy the experience. I wanted to, but nah, it was crap. I was really disappointed. But there you go. I've done it. Would I do it again? Probably not. Not in our boat, because
Yeah,
it took so much paint off, and the channel. You know, when you're going through a tunnel and you've got light and you can see light, and you sort of like gives you an idea where the channel is. Stanage Tunnel's not like that. Completely, the contour of the tunnel doesn't follow where water is. So you're sort of like trying to line up where you think, and next minute you boom into the side. And you can't look outside at boat because you've got an RDAT on and there's a lump of rock trying to take your head off. So
that sounds like no fun at all.
No, I didn't find it fun at all. But there you go.
Anyway, so yeah, that's where we are. Anyway, we haven't bought a boat yet. We're still looking. Anyone's got one 35 foot, 38 foot max, give me a shout.
Now it's Dave's turn.
It's my turn.
Yours ain't done you yet.
Oh no, I'm finished. So I'm just wrapping up. I was just wrapping up what I said. So there you go.
That was a clue.
Right. None about changing pace. Not an awful lot's gone wrong. He says.
Touchwood.
No, we other than as battery chargers still knackered, as inverters now knackered. So I've got both of them in repair shop, hoping that they can be fixed. The engine, touch wood, now we've got as problem sorted out, is running fine. Just few little needles inside boat, but other than that,
Lights flickering again by any chance?
no, I've cured that. I've
That's
cured
not what
that.
Louise is saying.
That was because I bought a cheap, a little cheap inverter to get us through while this big inverter's being repaired, and I connected it up to fuse board where all those fuses are, and I hadn't done it very well. It was just a temporary fix, and it's the wire that I put on the fuse board to cure the lights flickering. When you unplug the inverter where I put it, it pulls the wire off. So I've got to make it a more permanent fix. But the lights are cured so long as I can keep the wire on the fuse board. But
Yeah.
I was messing about with it before we came on air. I was trying to squeeze spade connectors to get it a bit tighter fit, but it's just where our fuse board fits. I've got it on an inch door, and when you close it, it tends to knock the wire off. So I'm gonna put it in a different position. So, but other than that, the boat's reasonable. I've still got repairs to do. Obviously, when I get the battery charger back, which is a brand new battery charger that blew up first time we tried to use it. Sent it back. They're going to replace it. The inverter's 18-month-old. I've got that in repair shop. He's going to have a look at it, and very kindly, Louise has just
prompted you, mate.
When one of the repairs we had done were the boost cable on the engine that had snapped, and since he's put that on, you know, when you press the gear lever forward until you're at 1100 revs, it just jumps out. You can put it forward and tick over, and it'll go and tick over. But if you put it up a couple of hundred revs, it just drops back. It won't stay till you get to 1100 revs, and then above that, it's all right. It don't fall back. So it's something I've never messed about with Morse cables. So I don't know whether it's something he's done, whether he's the Morse cable he replaced with just the forward and reverse, it with just the engaging, the forward and reverse. I would have thought that the one that he didn't replace, which is the throttle, I would have thought it was that one that were causing the problem, but he never sort of like messed about with that. So no, you know, if you guys have come across that before.
No.
You're all looking blank.
Stayed in the right position.
No.
It's got a kink or something.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a bit sprung loaded or something. It's not quite.
Sounds like it's doing that, where it should be laid out and fixed.
Yeah, I don't know. He put the new cable for to gearbox, and he used a shorter cable, so it was a straight run.
That
But
might be it, though, mightn't it?
Yeah.
It might be the issue. If he's taken the curl out of it, it might have had the curl might have been in there for the extra
For a reason.
Yeah, for a reason.
Tension adjuster on a Morse lever is the one. I don't know. Like I say, I've not got much experience with Morse cable. When I built boat, I just put it on, connected it up, and everything seemed to work. When we had engine changed, the people who put the engine in, they put it all, and we didn't have that problem. So it must be something to do with the cable that he's put on, because we didn't have it before. So that's a job for next weekend, I think, to sort that out. But
an old saying, it might ride up with where, missus. It might ride up with where.
All right, I think that's a different conversation.
Right.
Yeah, engineer Titan something. Yeah, I think he put it on and he tested it, but he just tested it that it went in forward and reverse, and I never thought about putting any rev on. Do you know what I mean? Because it did
under load.
Do you know when you can pull lever out and put revs on without it being in gear, and it doesn't do it then? That works fine. So it's obviously got to be something he's done with that cable.
I reckon it's a length, mate. I reckon it's got something to do with the length.
Do you think?
It just sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
It does, yes. It's a bit weird, but I will sort of like take it off and
have a look.
Have a look, because I think there is some adjustment on it from what I can remember. There's the cable screws into a
locking
like a lever, and there's a lock nut on it, isn't there?
Yeah, then you can
adjust. You might be able to back it off a bit.
Yeah, I might try playing about with that. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Let's hope it don't break when Louise is on her own.
No.
Yeah.
But ours always sprung back just before tickover, drove me mad. Yeah, this is driving Louise mad. It's a little niggly problem, but I think Lou summed it up quite succinctly. When you're going into a lock, you don't want to be going in at 1100 revs, do you?
Not really.
And
no.
when you're on tickover, you're never going to get there. So it's like Louise says, it's like there's no second gear in it. You know what I mean? You can put it on and hold it in place, but you can't really boat like that holding gear lever. That's not comfortable, is it?
No.
No.
It sounds like it's sprung loaded. It sounds like because it must be a balance in those throttles from between the revs and where the gear lever's got to be. There's got to be a sprung loaded thing between it, and that's what made me think if it was shorter and more springy, if you like, that when you're trying to go forward with it, it's like there's more tension on the gear cable than there was before. So the tension the tension's pulling it back.
I shall take it apart. I shall take it apart and have a look.
You fiddle with it till it breaks. That's what you want to do.
Take loads of pictures of it so you know where it was when you started.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, somebody, it's PM call. Yes, the cable was replaced. It had snapped completely.
There you go. The tension plate on theirs is under the cover plate.
Right.
Someone said as well. So
Tension screw on ours is under the cover plate. Yeah, ours is a little bit. Ours is on a box section, so the most control screws onto that. So I'll have to take all that off and get behind it and have a look. Like I say, it's something that I've never bothered with because it's never gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? So we shall. It'll be a topic for next time, won't it?
yeah. Yeah. See if you've done it. Take some pictures.
It's yeah. Other than that, no news on boat. It's the news on the van is a bit different. The van engines actually run, not very well, but it's run. He got it running last week. We were hoping to get it back last Friday, but although the engine were running, it had got misfire on it and an air leak, which you were trying to sort out. So yes, the program. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you think the air leak's got something to do with it? Do you think the air leak's got something to do with the misfire?
That's what he's saying. He don't know because he said he pulled the pipe off where the air leak were, and he says I could control it. We're putting my finger on it. He says, so I think it's the valve that's sticking inside this cover. He says because I could control it. The revs were my finger. It was searching, and when he put his finger on it run all right. So I'm hoping it's something and nothing. He said he was going to take this valve off and clean it out and put it back on. I won't like to think I've got to try and buy one. Yeah. Just sit him in engine bay and let him have his finger on it.
Keep your finger on it, mate.
Yeah.
But, it's been a long and tortuous journey, this van, but hopefully, by the time we talk next time, I should be back in the van, and hopefully, Saul, you'll be able to contact the kidnappers because I should be doing this front bracket van again.
Yeah. You need to set up a GoFundMe
having a lot of problems with her fuel, with her engine. She had a recon engine put in. Yeah.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of controversy about that at the moment. So.
Yeah. I know. I spoke to her a couple of months ago when things were going. I haven't spoke to her since, but I don't know if there's any further developments on that. Yeah. But I know she lost more or less a full tank of fuel, but it didn't go in engine bilge and it didn't go in canal. So my thoughts were there were only one place it could have gone like, but I don't know anything further from that. I don't know if she's still having problems. And although he speaks to her, and although he speaks to her frequently, I'll have to get that. But I didn't really want to go into that at the moment. But
yeah, cool.
They've tried. Hold on, what's that?
Yeah, tried bleeding it.
They've tried bleeding it off air on numerous occasions. So
we're turning the key to 0.1. What does she mean by that? With ignition, I don't want to do nothing.
I don't know. It turns out it was never the fuel.
Ooh.
So I'm assuming that
Oh,
you've
that's just
still
to
got
do the
problems.
pump.
And,
Yeah,
yeah, but I
just to
think
get the
it
pump.
were I think it were
cracking the-
RCR
cracking
that
the-
replaced the engine
Mm.
for fee. So I'm assuming that they should be putting it right, because I don't think it ever run right. I know they did. I know they moved from where they were, where their engine fitted in, and
Yeah.
they've got to a marina. But I would have thought the people, and
that fitted the engine.
I'm thinking it was RCR, unless they put a contractor in to do it.
Mm.
If engines never run right, they should be sorting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
but yeah,
yeah, she's just put on. I may just bring lead in proceed. Yeah, it's if you have a new engine, whether it's reconditioned or not, it's got to work, can't it? You can't just put an engine in a boat and then go, oh well, there you go, off you go. You've got to sort of like make it so it works.
yeah,
Yeah.
Doesn't say actually
definitely.
what is the problem with it? Is it not running or what? It doesn't say.
I don't know. What I'll do is I think I'll speak with Narabot Mum and have a chat with her, and we'll maybe talk about it next time.
Yeah,
Yeah, if your engine doesn't run, your boat don't run, does it?
No.
I know in a marina it masks problems, doesn't it? Because you're on electric
plugged in.
hookups, you don't have to
Yeah.
run engine and that. But as soon as you go out cruising, which I know Narrowboat Mum does, they do a lot of cruising. If your engine's not running right, you've no chance, have you?
You got to have trust in it, and you, especially when you're going through some of those tunnels and lock flights and God
Yeah.
knows what else. You got to be able to trust your engine a bit.
Rivers.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, so, yeah, yeah. No one needs that sort of stress.
No. So we've been going
Hour and 7.
an hour and 10. So it's flown. It's flown
Yeah.
through. I think we'll wrap it up for this month. I'd like to thank everybody that's been on viewing and commenting. Hope we've helped you out, and a few comments have helped us out. I appreciate your comments and your views. I'd like to thank Glenn, Jeff, and Saul for joining me again.
Thank you.
And we shall see you next time, which will be the first Monday in March. Until next time, guys. See you later.
Take care now.
See you
Bye.
later. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.